short presentation, but maybe it's what have we already do, because I'm going to tell you what we do at INAPESCA. And it's like a brief story. And the National Fisheries Institute and Aquaculture of Mexico works on a project for develop biotechnology to produce corals by clonal propagation and sexual reproduction, and implement actions for active reef restorations. We start at 2009, and we have facilities in land-based and in nursery and marine nursery. And when we have the corals, we go to outplant them at the reef. And at 2012, we had a grant that with a collaboration with academics and private sector and marine protected area. And the first approach was to restore reef damaged by ground ship. And this is a case, Cuevones Reef, that it was damaged in 1199, and it was a very bad damage. And 15 years later, the natural recovery was not so good, dominance of Poraides at a lot of algae. And in that moment, we start with the project to outplant corals. And in 4 years, we have great results. We increased the coral cover in 14%, and the fish species was the double. And a very good result was that the first colonies that we outplant at the end of the project has been spawned. And with this knowledge, in 2017, we had a grant by local government from Quintana Roo State in the Yucatan Peninsula for scaling up production. At the first, it was amazing, because at that time we had a very small production, and the goal was 265,000 corals in 6 years. Then in the graph, you can see the annual goal in white, and in the pink color is the annual production that we get. And unfortunately, in 2020, we have the pandemic, and the resource was not more available. But in the last year, in 2019, we produced 4,800 corals in 20 sites, and we outplanted the half of them. And we had 4 more land-based tanks and 4 marine nurseries. It was a good advance. And then, in the time of the pandemic, we put attention to the stony coral tissue loss disease, because the corals also have the pandemic. And we have small projects to two things: to make a bank genetic for stony coral tissue loss disease, and to rearing king crab juveniles to enhance herbivory in coral restoration. If you are interested in that, there is a poster in the session in this afternoon. And there is all the people we collaborate, and the people who do the financial things. Then, the last year, we had another grant by local government to related with the entourage to protect the coral reefs when they are damaged from hurricanes. And then we designed this strategic plan with these 6 lines, strategic lines, that I am going to explain what we are doing. The first one is to have an environmental diagnosis to know the degree of the current physical damage in those reefs that was impacted by the hurricanes in 2020, and to know what is the degree of vulnerability, and very important, to identify sites that was apt active restoration, and then do a plan to restore the reefs. The second one is remedial actions, that is to rescue the fragments that are still alive and to establish marine nurseries to have colonies for the next steps. And in the third line is the active restoration, first to produce colonies, and we produce colonies by clonal propagation with different techniques, the multi-cutting in the nurseries, and also the microfragmentation, and outplant these microfragments in structures. In the sexual reproduction, we mainly work in our big tanks, where we have sexual mature colonies in captivity, and we collect the gametes when they spawning. And these colonies was collected when we were rescue them with the stony coral tissue loss disease projects. And also we have our systems in different places. One of them, control systems with very control conditions. We have a big land-based tanks, also the marine nurseries, and small laboratory, but it works very nice for the sexual reproduction and the microfragmentation. Then we go to the restoration. And the restoration has too many things to do. The first one, of course, is to outplant the colonies, sexual and asexual colonies that we produce, and then this other strategy, that is to outplant crabs to enhance the herbivory. That crabs are cultured in the INAPESCA too, and we are trying some artificial habitat structures to put some home to the crabs and to the corals, and to get more complexity in the place. And of course, to have a control of undesirable species, because when you put too much corals, the fireworms and other species that are very happy, and we need to remove them, and a monitoring program. And another important thing is the community involved. And in the monitoring program, we are working with orthomosaics to get to follow the places, and also we are working adapting the recovery wheel from the Society for Ecological Restoration, and for this we have a poster also in the session in the afternoon if you want to take a look. And the fifth one is the build capacity. This one is very important because it's when the insurance were active, you need the community to be trained, and there is a protocol that to immediately response that Kalina is going to expose in the afternoon if you want to know more about it. And we have these people trained to go rescue reefs, and they have some abilities to use the drill, the leaf bags, and how to put the corals, and so many things. And the last one is the big plan, to have a plan action for restore coral reefs when there is an event, meteorological event, and we are working together with some other groups that are doing that kind of efforts. Thank you very much.